And good afternoon, everyone. Our friends and neighbors across Riverside County. Welcome to the Riverside County Board Brief. My name is Pep Fernandez. We're about to give you a brief look at what happened during today's Board of Supervisors meeting, what's going on here in Riverside County. Now, if you're a fan of the Board Brief, you've probably noticed we've been doing a lot of department highlights videos, showcasing the fine folks across Riverside County working on your behalf. Today, let's roll a little bit of video from earlier because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and joining us live in the chambers earlier today during the meeting was Dr. Ronald Johnson, and he was talking about the staggering numbers of the women who have to deal with breast cancer, saying that 1 in 8 at some point in their lifetime will be diagnosed. And we had a short video that he presented to the Board of Supervisors, and again, shared more information on how important it is to be aware of this very serious disease. Here is Dr. Ronald Johnson with more from earlier today during our Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting.
But when we're looking at 1 out of every 8 women in the United States to have a diagnosis of breast cancer during their lifetime, so let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it ended up on a man. So you guys are safe. So yeah, it completely missed you, but that's a significant amount. I think we have 280,000 women a year with the diagnosis, 43,000 deaths. And since 1989 through 2016, there's been a 40% reduction because of early detection modalities. So this is extremely important for us. That's why in women's health, we're trying at the county level to bring all these programs together so that people have access and convenience out at our community health centers, at our main campus.
Dr. Johnson talking about breast cancer during the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting. Now, let's pivot and shift gears to the American Rescue Plan Act. And you're probably thinking, what is that? Well, it means a lot of money is going to be infused into our local community here in Riverside County. Let's take a look at some video from earlier today as they were discussing what this plan is going to look like, where the money is going to go. In fact, Riverside County will get $479 million in total as part of the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. Assistant CEO Juan Perez going over some of the specifics and some of the numbers as well. And our Chief Executive Officer, Jeff Van Wagenen, also chimed in and shared this during today's Board of Supervisors meeting.
We've sort of held our powder for as long as possible. We're trying to get, as Juan said, the final guidelines from Treasury, but we can't wait any longer. We have needs that must be met, and we need to start spending this money. So what this provides today is a broad framework that we can tinker as we go. And again, you'll be able to see those expenditures as recommended as they come forward. But again, it will be fluid, but we wanted to get a framework that was at least broadly understood and agreed to so that we can start programming some of these dollars and start making these improvements.
All right, so that was Jeff Van Wagenen from earlier today during the Board of Supervisors meeting. Joining us now, Rania Odenbaugh, who is also working on this. And Rania, the American Rescue Plan Act, what is this all about? And it looks like it's in direct response to COVID, and a lot of households and small businesses and nonprofits, we all took a hit.
Thank you. That is true. We're talking, as you mentioned earlier, $479 million in funding. Riverside County received $239 million first installment. We're expecting another $239 million next year. We are looking at opportunities to further utilize the funding externally, more outward, economic recovery, infrastructure, serve the nonprofits, and again, just spend the money more outwardly to benefit our communities and the public as a whole. As CEO Jeff Van Wagenen mentioned, we will be going back to the board as we promised him we would to change those allocations as we see fit. We still have yet to receive the final funding guidelines from the U.S. Treasury, which basically kind of tell us how we're going to be spending the money. But we can't wait any longer, so we will proceed with spending the money based on the allocation presented to the Board of Supervisors today, with the understanding that there will be some changes as we see fit and as the new or the final guidelines are issued in the near future.
All right, very good, Rania. And yeah, it's a lot of money to spend, $479 million, and a lot of it being put right back into our community. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Rania.
Thank you.
All right, so another guy today who was very, very busy, John Hildebrand. He got up several times, actually multiple times during the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting. And on the first take, he was updating and clarifying what these temporary events in unincorporated areas in Riverside County. Do you need a permit? Do you not need a permit? Is it for commercial use? Is it a family gathering? Here's John Hildebrand trying to explain more on what files under these temporary events in unincorporated areas.
It's a fine line sometimes, but it's quite obvious that the whole facility, the property is being rented out for a separate commercial use, and there's no relationship with the family that's there or the event there's no nexus between the event and the property owner that's there. So it's probably readily visible. But to your point, they also have vendors that come in for weddings. Food might be catered and DJs, those kinds of things. That isn't necessarily a rental of the facility. It's just rental of services for the event. But typically, when we find these things, they're not just one-off events. They're over and over and over again, which is a red flag for them being a commercial event venue.
All right, so a great explanation there from John Hildebrand. That was one of his visits up in front of the Board of Supervisors. An additional visit a little bit later in the meeting, he was talking about an amendment to an ordinance regulating ranchos, specifically out in the Coachella Valley. Here's John with more on that.
With regards to agenda item 3.3, this is an initiation to establish a permitting process for a specific new type of use, specifically the ranchos out in the eastern Coachella Valley. This is distinct and different above and beyond the temporary events ordinance. There was a request to identify them as a specific event venue with a different approval pathway moving forward. So the initiation today is for staff to go back and establish an ordinance amendment to create a situation where they can be permitted through a separate permitting process to establish themselves as a full-time event venue. Again, this is above and beyond what will be allowed under the temporary events ordinance itself. So we're distinguishing between the two.
Great job by John Hildebrand, the planning director for Riverside County. Again, multiple times coming up. There's a lot going on here in Riverside County, so they are very, very busy right now. Well, we appreciate you tuning in to the Board Brief. My name is Pep Fernandez. We do this show every single time. The Board of Supervisors meet here in the county of Riverside, and it's the easiest way, the best way to stay up to date on what's going on during the board meeting and also what's going on here in our community in Riverside County. I'm Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next time on another edition of the Board Brief.